guys, today I want to take a look at what is referred to as dynamic or interactive music. I'll be showing an example of the vertical approach, also known as vertical reorchestration. This approach is basically having a section of music that can seamlessly transition from different mixes of the same track based on a game parameter. I've made a short composition which can go back and forth from an exploration theme to a combat theme. First, let's take a look at the composition in Logic where it was made. I've color-coded each track to make it easy to see what voices play during each section. There are 5 sections in total, which take us from the exploration theme to the full battle theme. The blue voices only play during the exploration theme, while the green voices play at all times. During this section, I used mostly woodwinds and legato strings with some open percussion. Let's hear those voices. In the next section, the blue voices stop playing and the yellow voices come in. In this section, I added a lot more percussion. We still have the green voices from the previous track for some overlap. Let's hear these voices. In the next section, we keep our green and yellow and only add the orange track, which is marcato strings. Now the track is really starting to sound more like a battle theme. Next, we add the brass voices, which are colored red. And lastly, we add our chorus and our battle theme is complete. Now that we have our music composed, the next step is exporting each section. Make sure to include a couple extra measures at the end so the reverb and delay sound natural when we loop the tracks later. It's also important to export each track from the same starting point to help keep them aligned when we set them up in Wwise. To export each section, simply mute the tracks you don't want to be present in each section. So I will export the tracks that I want for my exploration theme, so I'm muting my battle tracks. Unmuting my blue tracks. Now I bounce. And you can see I've already exported all of these things to save time. Now that we have composed and exported our stems from Logic, let's start a new project in Wwise to make our music interactive. Once you've started and named your project, click the Layout tab and select Interactive Music. Now right-click your default work unit under the Interactive Music Hierarchy folder and select New Child Music Segment. Then drag and drop the stems you exported from Logic into your new music segment. It's helpful to have your stems numbered in the order you want to use them. One thing you may need to check is your audio system settings under Sound Engine in User Preferences. The default setting is Detect, but for some reason that didn't work with my audio interface and I didn't get any sound. Once I changed it to Direct Sound, everything worked great. Next, we need to set up our tempo in the Music Segment Property Editor. The tempo for my composition was 101, so I'll input that here in Time Settings. Now we need to set our entry and exit cues. These are your green and red cursors in the Music Segment Editor. I had a 1 beat pickup for my exploration theme, so I'm moving my entry cue 1 beat forward. Now I need to drag all my stems back to line them up with 0. Next, let's move our red exit cue cursor to the end of the music. I had a couple 3/4 measures at the end of my composition, so my ending cue is going to go on beat 3 of measure 12. Notice each track has some decay at the end. That's important to have so the loops sound natural. Every time the track loops, the exit cue will play and give us the natural reverb and decay of the ending. Now let's set up our RTPC. This is when things start to get dynamic. First, we'll click the Game Sync tab in our Project Explorer. Then right-click the default work unit under Game Parameters folder. Select New Child, Game Parameter. And that gives us a new game parameter. Now let's get back to our music segment by clicking the Audio tab, then New Music Segment. Next, we'll click the RTPC tab in the Music Segment Property Editor, then select our first track. Now we'll click this arrow and scroll down to the bottom where it says Voice Volume. That will be our Y-axis. Now under the X-axis arrow, Game Parameters, Default Work Unit, New Game Parameter. I'm going to make my first 2 tracks crossfade over the course of 40 X units. Double-click on a line to create a new point. My first track is going to begin at full volume and then slowly fade until you get to 40. And then I'm not going to hear it from there on forward. So take the last dot all the way down. Now let's set up our second track and set it to crossfade the first. Same process here. So now I'll set this one to get louder from 0 all the way to full volume over the course of 40 units. And then I'm going to have its next crossfade take 20 units. And again, mute for the rest of the time. All right, now let's set up the rest of our tracks. Last thing, I'll show you how to make this section loop. Right-click Default Work Unit under the Interactive Music Hierarchy folder and select New Child Music Playlist Container. Make sure you set that tempo. Now drag your music segment into the playlist container. Then also drag your music segment over here into our playlist editor. Last thing, change your loop count under the sequence continuous down to infinite. All right, now let's make sure that our playlist container is selected here. And now when we hit play, we should be able to hear all of our music and be able to cycle through those 5 tracks based on where we have our game parameter here. 0 would be, in this case, my exploration theme, and all the way at the end would be our battle theme. So let's hear how this goes. That's it for this video. This was a fairly simple example of vertical dynamic music. You can definitely do a lot more complex projects, but I wanted to show an easy example. I hope this was helpful. Feel free to leave me any questions in the comments, and thank you for watching.